It looks like there's just no stopping the MCU. We're deep into Phase 4 of Marvel's cinematic universe, and the content is better than ever. It's a great time to be a Marvel fan, but we've still got a ton of questions. For one, which characters should we keep an eye on as the story progresses? Luckily for us, an MCU producer just confirmed Phase 4's two most important heroes. Here's what we know. Firstly, let's go over why we need an answer to that question anyway. It's actually one of the biggest debates in the fandom. Everyone wants to know who the most important heroes are, because they'll be the ones to keep an eye on in the next phase. That means the movies featuring those characters will be the ones to prioritize, since those characters might be leading the charge in the next Thanos level event. Yep, fans want to know which characters are going to take up Iron Man's mantle. Seeing as Captain America is off the table and Thor's off having his own adventures, it's pretty likely a new character will have to step up. Now, it's not really about who was the most powerful. Tony Stark wasn't the strongest Avenger, now was he? Nope, but he was just super intelligent and the best leader in the bunch, alongside Cap, of course. That hasn't stopped fans from going the power route with their predictions, and you can probably guess who they're going with. Many MCU followers think the Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel will be big players in Phase 5. That makes a lot of sense. Both of them went toe-to-toe with Thanos after all. But we should also think back to what studio head Kevin Feige stated earlier this year. It's actually Doctor Strange who's the new anchor of the MCU. Well, who's the most important character then? According to a certain producer, there's more than one. That's right, we've just gotten confirmation about the big heroes of Phase 4. And the source was pretty surprising. You'll have heard that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness just came out on disc, and we've got news for you. One of the special features just answered all of our questions. That's right, the audio commentary actually contains some pretty big insights on where the MCU is going next. If we're honest, the answers aren't that surprising. During the epic camartage sequence from the film, producer Richie Palmer chimed in with his take on Wanda Maximoff and Stephen Strange. Palmer actually referenced Feige's comments, saying that if Doctor Strange was the anchor of the MCU, then the Scarlet Witch was the franchise's crown jewel. Now, we're not quite sure how that metaphor works, but we totally get what Palmer is trying to say. That basically means Strange and Wanda are the two main characters of the whole universe moving forward. The Good Doctor already had a pretty big role to play in Infinity War, and it's pretty exciting to hear that the writers are expanding his role. Scarlet Witch, on the other hand, is more interesting. She was the villain in Multiverse of Madness, so seeing how she evolves past this point is going to be fascinating. And according to the producer, the movies have been working towards this for a while. Yep, the Scarlet Witch storyline has been a long time coming. Palmer went so far as to say the creators behind Doctor Strange 2 were super excited to deliver on her comic book credentials. Seeing Wanda act the way she does in the movie is pretty satisfying for longtime fans. That's because the Scarlet Witch has a reputation as an anti-hero in the comics, and getting to see her infiltrate Camartage like a horror movie villain definitely lived up to that. In fact, the Marvel masterminds have been building towards this moment ever since Elizabeth Olsen first played the character in Avengers Age of Ultron. She's lost basically everything: her childhood home, her brother, her partner, and her imaginary kids. Honestly, it makes perfect sense for the character to be where she's at in the storyline. That's years of development paying off after 4 movies and a whole show. Fans weren't really expecting her to play a villain though. Director Sam Raimi offered his 2 cents on the scene where Wanda and Strange meet for the first time, and his observation was pretty surprising. Apparently, test audiences had a pretty strong reaction to the twist where Maximoff turns evil. They weren't expecting to see her in that light, and that's probably because the writers have set her up as one of the MCU's most powerful characters. But Strange could give her a run for her money in that department. That's right, screenwriter Michael Waldron spoke about the same twist by saying that the two characters were contenders for the strongest heroes in the MCU. The writer is apparently really happy with how their meeting turned out, since it gave fans a standoff between two of Marvel's most powerful figures. Seeing as Waldron was also a writer on WandaVision, he might be a little biased. We're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt though. He's given both characters terrific arcs, after all. Strange finally came to terms with his relationship with Christine, and we're excited to see what's in store for him in the future. After all the amazing things he pulled off in the first movie, we definitely see him being one of the biggest players in Phase 5. It feels like the Sorcerer Supreme Supreme just keeps getting stronger and stronger. As for the Scarlet Witch, both Palmer and Raimi commended Waldron for how relatable he made the character. We definitely agree that it was easy to feel sorry for her. She's the hero of her own story, and that's what makes her a really good villain. Some fans felt that her transformation was a little abrupt, but the audio commentary also laid those fears to rest. Apparently, the MCU isn't through with Wanda yet. Palmer went on to say that the creators love Wanda, and they don't want to see her in pain. That probably means that she's going to come back in a big way in future movies. Multiverse of Madness ended with her going down with the mountain, but don't count her out just yet. She's definitely going to be a big part of the franchise in the coming years. How do we know? Well, let's think back to WandaVision. Agatha Harkness told Wanda that she would end the whole world one day. That definitely hasn't happened yet, but it's a pretty ominous prophecy for what's ahead. It could be Wanda who's a big threat to the Avengers. She might even be behind the MCU's version of the iconic Secret Wars storyline. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And don't expect Strange to go anywhere either. The last time we saw the character, he was following Charlize Theron's Clea to another universe. He'll definitely be back though, because the Avengers are going to need him and his third eye more than ever. The MCU just wouldn't be the same without him, so let's hope we see him again soon. That's all for Strange and Wanda, but here's some other news related to the MCU. First up, we've just gotten word on Tom Holland's MCU future. Under his current contract, Holland doesn't have any more solo films as the web slinger lined up. That said, rumor has it that the studios have already begun planning a fourth Spider-Man film. Even though they haven't signed a new deal with Holland, Sony's moving ahead with their schemes for a Spidey-centric franchise. They're currently working on 3 spin-off films based on Spider-Man villains, and they obviously need Holland to keep the franchise alive. Luckily for them, the actor has said he's open to playing the character a few more times. He just needs a break after his current contract ends. That's good news for Sony, Marvel, and the fans. Up next, it looks like one Netflix Marvel actor won't be joining the MCU. You can probably guess who we're talking about. The actor starred in the one Netflix Marvel show that fans didn't like. That's right, Finn Jones is apparently dropping out of the Marvel bandwagon. The Game of Thrones star played Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, for Netflix, and his performance wasn't very well received. According to the latest reports, he's not coming back to reprise his role. That's pretty sad news because everyone was hoping a return would freshen up the character. There were actually a ton of theories that Jones would pop up in the sequel to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Things might change in the future, but it looks like Iron Fist is out for the time being. And finally, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are coming back for a new series. We saw Cox playing Daredevil in No Way Home, and D'Onofrio played the Kingpin in Hawkeye. Both actors are officially part of the MCU, and their next appearance is going to be in the Disney Plus series Echo. The show follows the titular deaf superhero played by Alaqua Cox, who made her MCU debut in Hawkeye. We could definitely see her character bonding with Matt Murdock, and not just because both of them hate the Kingpin. This could also lead to a solo show for Daredevil, so we're pretty excited. That's a wrap for this video. Who's your pick for the strongest hero in the MCU? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.